Can I ask you about a very progressive part of your life?
Yeah, go on.
Which I've talked to you about, well, not me personally. I was there when you talked, we were on Radio 2 together. You talked to Zoe Ball about you.
We were on with Zoe, weren't we?
Yeah, about your relationship status and how you run that. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it's also, got partly to do with kids. So I don't want to settle down again. At the moment, it might be different when I'm 75. I might think, actually, I can put up with someone. But at the moment, that's not what I want to do.
Can't get up the stairs. It'll be quite good something to lean on. 8 o'clock every night.
That time is to come. Yeah. But it's not for now. So what I have done for, well over 10 years is I use a system which I call my special friends.
Sure.
So they are men I really like me. And then, we have an extra bit of whatever, whenever. And everyone's single. Yeah. That's a key part of it.
And everyone's on board with the setup.
On board with it. And it's just nice.
Yeah.
Because, some I see more often than others. But they're like interesting people who I really like anyway. They'd just be friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to have an argument about buying a new fridge with.
Oh, God, no. It's just a joy.
I think we should get the Zanussi. Oh, fuck off.
I forgot you hate Zanussi, Rob. We don't want to get into that.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started on that. That and Smeg.
Has he had a problem with his ice cube maker or something?
No. I've got no issues with Zanussi. I just picked it because it was a funny word. That was it. Thought it would get a bigger laugh.
Funny words are funny, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sometimes you pick the funniest one.
I liked when you picked up on papoose as a good word.
Yeah, I love a good word. Gusset is a funny word.
That's a good
Gusset.
That's it. It's a good
just
word.
a funny word. Yeah. But they're lovely words. And it is about that, like Zanussi is a funny word, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Yeah, if you've got to pick one, Smeg and Zanussi. If you're trying to pick a fridge.
Yeah, but I think Smeg's almost too much of a comedy word. Do you know what I mean? Like, Zanussi's...
Yeah, Smeg's too loaded.
Yeah.
So Zanussi, if I said like a Samsung fridge...
Yeah, it's not as funny.
That's not as funny.
It's not the same hit as Zanussi.
No, we had zero reaction from us, didn't we?
Exactly. Pointless.
But, I love that you two are doing this show. I love it. And it's funny. And obviously all the things you go, oh my God, I had to go to the park. Oh my God, I had to do that. But it is a thing. And particularly like you just said, Rob, your wife had a career. Josh, the same. It's like women have careers. People have houses and kids and everything. And both parents are largely full-time working now, which is you're the first generation where that's happening.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case in my generation. So it was like all these things to learn. New things.
I was going to ask as well, like, you've got such a sort of positive outlook and sort of, like, not only, like, positive about stuff, but you move with the times and very modern thinking rather than, like, no, this is the way we should do it and stuff like that. And I feel like you were treated quite badly by the press, like, when you moved on from Countdown and stuff like that, it almost felt like, because you were the first sort of, one of the first sort of famous women on telly to sort of be on telly and be famous and have a proper skill rather than just being that classic, like, here's the lady that brings on the prize. You were doing something that needed an expert brain to do. And it was almost like the press was a little bit suspicious and annoyed with you for that. And then when you moved on, it was like they sort of were like, now we've got her almost. Like, now she's gone and someone else is coming in. And it always struck me as very quite graceful and gracious in that moment. And like you say, you cracked on with your other stuff. You do loads of telly. You've got your maths courses and things like that, and have continued to have a brilliant career for the last 15 years since you've not been on it. Like, how did you find that, especially as like, as it was a career woman and they were sort of jumping on you as and stuff? Like, did that affect you?
Yeah, I did find it hard, but again, it's like, the ageism, for want of a nicer word, but it's rife in my generation. It's still rife in my generation. But what we have now. So when I was 39, I talk about this a lot actually, in the year 2000 as an example. So in this century, the year 2000, I was age 39 and I went to the BAFTAs and I wore a short blue dress and it was all over front pages everywhere. Oh my God. And it went on for about a year. The BBC made a special Kilroy about it. Daily Mail, obviously, you can imagine. The question was not, should somebody wear a blue dress? The question was, it wasn't that short, but it was the question was, should a woman of 39 wear a dress above the knee?
Bloody
hell.
My
God.
That's in the year 2000. That's not like my mother.
Because you were so famous, though. You were just used as anything. Oh, women are doing something different now. And you were used as the poster woman of it because you were there.
Yeah. So all of that, and then, all sorts of nonsense headlines that they just make up.
Oh, my God. It's just a blue dress. It's not even...
Yeah, it was above the knee. So it was like, and...
Oh, my God.
So what I found now in the last... Like talking about special friends, for instance. If I'd done that 5 or 10 years ago, I mean, I still am called all sorts, but I would have been called... in the headlines,
like cuckoo, crazy.
Oh, well, worse.
Crazy
far
Vorderman.
worse, far worse. Yeah. But what I love now is, being in my 60s, is that there are generations below now who go, let her do what she wants. Yeah. Whereas when I was younger, those generations didn't exist.
That was a middle finger for Vorderman to the listeners, just so they know.
Yeah.
Because they can't see it.
It
was a very aggressive middle finger.
It was very impressive. With a fully painted nail. And
Zanussi written on it.
So what I love now is that younger generations, like your own, go, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not harming anyone. But that didn't exist. That generational thought didn't exist when I was younger. So that's why I mean, from my 50s onwards, I love it because I've got people in the world now who think like I do, rather than always being a bit, my ambition was to be an RAF fighter pilot. That was all I ever wanted to be, but women weren't allowed to be, till I was well in my 30s and obviously too old by then, but it was how it was. And that's what's so joyful about it now, which is one of the reasons now why I'm forever in the gym. I've still got my gym kit on now. Yeah. And I'm really into like health. And one of the reasons is that I enjoy like the company I have now more than I did back then. I've always had a good time, but I feel freer now than I've ever felt. Really.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, which I love.
Thanks so much, Carol.
Oh, it's been a joy. I genuinely speak so brilliantly and we've had such a good conversation. This is the first time we've ever not seamlessly put in the plug.
Oh, yeah.
Which is your own fault for being too good at conversation, Carol. Your new quiz book, Perfect 10. Just tell us about that.
Perfect 10. Before I tell you about that, just one thing, going back to you, Rob, and dyslexia. Did you know there's a very famous Sunday Times journalist called AA Gill?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So AA Gill was, known as a sort of superlative critic, wasn't he? And I mean, he slagged us off all the time, but he did it using such wonderful language. He kind of didn't mind. Yeah. I met him years and years and years later, and he sort of took one step back as soon as he saw me because he thought I was going to hit him for all of the bad stuff he'd written about. Quite the opposite. And he said, "Oh, I read about your son." So this was years and years ago. I went, "Oh, yeah." He said, "I'm dyslexic. I'm hugely dyslexic." And we used to talk on the phone. AA Gill couldn't write. He physically couldn't write.
He used to phone through his copy to someone, didn't he?
He used to phone his copy through. He said, "I've had the same PA for over 20 years. I phoned the copy through. I've never met her. I phone the copy through. She types it up and that's what I send." And that was AA Gill.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Quite amazing.
That's amazing. I never knew that.
So once again, you've managed to stop your book being plugged here, Carol.
Yeah, sorry.